Boom, chicka the beep 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 beep. 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 Boom.
Habba-doop-bappa-dow. Boop. All right. Welcome everybody. My name's Ashkahn.
And I'm Graham.
All right, and we got a question coming at you today. It is, what are the pros and cons of having a post-float lounge?
Which I assume is different than just having like a post-float area to sit down. Like it's separate though, like a separate lounge for people post-float and pre-float.
Right. I mean, so I think we're talking about, like basically one big communal lobby, or is there some separate space you have where people can hang out after their float?
So separate pre-float and post-float spaces kind of thing.
Right.
Yep. So first of all, at Float On, our shop has very little extra room in it.
Yeah.
With our 610, we took up all the extra space in our center with extra float tanks. So we don't have room for a post-float lounge in our center. So that's a little bit of where we're coming from personally.
Which is probably the biggest downside, right? I mean, of a post-float lounge is just that it takes up space.
Yeah, right. And that's space that could be used for something else, even like an extra practitioner
Float tank,
room or
ping pong room.
Yeah,
whatever.
it's bedroom for when you need to take a nap at the center. There's lots of things you can use that space for.
Yeah, so I mean that's I would say probably the biggest consideration is like you got to make sure you actually have enough space to do something like that.
Yep. So if you're in somewhere like Arizona or Alaska, then it might be less of a concern than being in New York or Pittsburgh.
And I guess the other downside is there is something nice about people after their float hanging out with people before they go in.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of fun. Like people have really nice interactions in that kind of time where people are like seeing the people who just came out and they see how relaxed they are and they talk a little bit and it makes them kind of the new people excited and maybe a little less nervous about getting in there.
Oh, for sure. And we've like walked into so many good conversations that people have just been having in our lounge who have never met before, between some of our most seasoned members and totally new first-time floaters.
Yeah.
Flurgeons, as we call them.
And I guess one of the big benefits of having a post-float lounge is that your customers don't have to interact with each other.
Which is really funny that it's a benefit and a con. But it's true. The nice thing is that for people who are all post-floaty and don't necessarily want to jump right back into the outside world, not only do they not have to leave your shop, they don't even have to interact with anyone who hasn't just been in a float tank, plus the staff who are naturally floaty anyway.
And you can make there is perhaps like a different vibe you'd want after a float than beforehand, right? Like our lobby in Float On is very bright. There's big windows looking into the street. I mean, the walls are painted bright yellow. Like it's a very like loud, awake sort of space and
playful. I would say.
And I could see more of like a nap room type thing. Like it's not how I would necessarily design like a post float space if that was like the intended sole purpose of a room, right? Like your eyes are just more sensitive to light when you come out. You probably want something that encourages, maybe like smaller conversation nooks or something like that. So that, there is a different goal in mind, I think, with a post-float lounge than with your general kind of lobby.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess, so the other, to balance it out, the other benefit of having just a single lobby space like we do is it's a little bit easier for our employees just to be able to interact with people easily. Like they don't have to go kind of check the post-float area and like talk to people, maybe get stuck in there talking to someone. While they're in the lobby, they can be there when new people come in. They can talk to people who are sitting on the couch if nobody's coming in, who just got out of their floats. Like it's just a little bit more organic to be able to easily just talk to whoever is available, whoever seems like you should be talking to them, rather than having to kind of check multiple spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. The logistics of making sure that everything's going okay in your entire center obviously becomes more difficult the more distinct rooms that you need to actually keep tabs on. So, yeah. And even though at Float On we don't have one, it's not to say that if we didn't have extra space, that we wouldn't have one. There's a
Right.
lot of negatives. I think I got all this right. But, and we've gone to a lot of centers around the country and around North America that have really nice post-float lounges, and they're totally separate from kind of the pre-float intake area.
Yeah.
There's one that's really awesome. The entire center looks very clinical almost, and the front desk is very small, and you just kind of sit on these. It's almost like waiting room style. Same with the hallways, but then on the far other side of the center, so you go through the hallways with all the tanks and come out, and it's giant windows looking out into forest and just bright blue floors modeled after our floors, and it's like a total transition into. They almost go for more somber beforehand and more playful afterwards. So I don't know. There's also, you get a nice little reveal there that I really like. So there are some really cool things that you can do with post-float lounges for sure. If you have the space.
You have the space.
If you have the space.
All right.
I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Yeah, good episode, buddy.
Thanks, you too.
I think people are really going to enjoy this one.
No, this is going to be a nice one. I can tell.
And if you want your own questions meanderingly answered on our podcast, definitely go to floatanksolutions.com/podcast. Type them in there, and we might get to them.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.